So Ryan, it's been awesome having you here on this trip. You know, as I've said in some of the other videos, you and I have known each other since about 2006, 2007. I can't remember exactly, where we were both actually presenting on stage. You know, teaching other people how to invest in property. And you know, I've sort of been in your ear a little bit and said, you know, come and check out this American opportunity, and you have. You know, what? Firstly, just before you tell us about the experience, just give us a little bit of an insight into your background so that people understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, sure. Born in Cape Town, moved to England in 2001, studied electrical engineering, had a job. I went to lots of seminars, which is very popular in the UK. And in 2004, I started going to seminars, and I actually started investing small time. And in 2006, I was in a position to leave my job through my investments.
Through your property investments.
That's right, yeah.
Yep.
And then as a result of that testimonial, that case study, that success, I got invited through the training company that I learned my investment through, which is now Rich Dad Poor Dad. At the time it was called Russ Whitney, but it's the same organization, and they've trained thousands and thousands of people in the UK and actually worldwide. And I went on and actually became one of the facilitators, teaching people how to invest and create financial independence. So what's been great about that is having that freedom. I'm not a mega millionaire, but I do have enough income that's coming through my portfolio, particularly in the UK at the moment, and through some of the investments we've got overseas, to give me the freedom to say what do I want to do and that kind of stuff. So I feel very fortunate in that respect, particularly when I see people in rush hour in the morning. And
or in New York in -10 degrees.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, like yourself, I recently moved back to Cape Town because I think it's a great country. I love it. It's good to be back with the family, and the investments have given me the ability to choose to do that. So that's the short of it, yeah.
But now that you're back, and you know, you and I met up, Ryan came back in about September 2012, and we actually just met up as friends to discuss, you know, kind of some opportunities for you and people I could put you in contact with, the typical South African way. And then I shared what I was doing in America and kind of, I don't know, obviously planted the seed somewhere along the line. And you know, you finally committed to actually come over and check it out yourself. What's been your experience here on the ground?
Yeah, well, I'm one of those people, because I started off as a very high risk investor. I made a lot of money, also lost a lot of money. Fortunately, I made a lot more than I lost. I think that always is the case, whether you're trading or whatever. So when I'm going to invest for myself, I'm happy to take risks. However, what I've learned over the last 8 years that I've been investing, I'm happy to spend months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years to do the research before I actually invest. Whereas, you know, 8 years ago, I'd look at the brochure and go, wow, that looks amazing, the house is fantastic, and the salesperson's a nice guy and he bought me lunch, I'll invest. I've learned it doesn't work like that. You've got to look at the numbers, you've got to do the research beforehand, and then before investing, you either have to go and view the properties yourself, which I know is not always possible, or at least have someone that you know is an experienced investor going out there doing that for you, which, you know, I have. I've invested overseas and trusted other people to invest because I know them well, I trust them, and more importantly, they consistently produce results. You know, if you want to, for me anyway, if I want to know if I can trust someone with my money, I just have to talk to the clients, period. Websites are great and all that kind of stuff, but you speak to the clients and you get first-hand experience, pros and cons of what they're about. So in terms of the experience this time round, obviously I invested money and time to come here, so I was pretty much convinced, to be quite frank with you. It was just making sure that the properties were actually there and not just on the brochures. I've seen many people who thought they've gone out and been able to invest themselves, because it takes a lot of experience and knowledge to invest and make money consistently, buy houses that are just facades up at the front. They buy it at an auction or through an agent that they're not familiar with, only to find out that the property is actually missing the other 3 walls. You know?
Yeah, no,
and that's, you know, it's very easy to do, particularly with today's market. There's a lot of people out there selling really bad investments that can help you lose a lot of money quickly. But having made the decision to come here, I was already 98% convinced, to be quite frank. So it was just about having a cup of tea or a beer or a lot of ribs, actually, with the guys that you were talking about, and just that final seal of approval. I'm very impressed.
Seeing the product and meeting the partners, basically.
Absolutely.
And tell us just a quick brief overview of the 4 different cities. You know, what were your thoughts, the pros and cons of each city?
Sure. Well, what I loved about the 4 different areas is it pretty much covers different investor profiles. So everyone's got a risk profile. Some people like to invest very low risk. Some people like to invest very high risk. I like to be balanced. And then there's a good spread between income and capital. And so, depending on your investment profile, if it, whatever that is, there's a product here that suits you and sort of suits your portfolio and suits your requirements. So some people liked New York, some people didn't. Some people liked New York, Memphis, and they didn't, and Orlando and Atlanta. I personally would invest in all 4 areas, quite frankly. Right. New York, because of Wealth Migrate, which I'm sure people can find out more about. I like to get hands-on, get involved, drive some good returns by actually acquiring bigger properties, taking control of the management. I enjoy that. So I would invest in Wealth Migrate from that perspective. Orlando, it's got the feel-good factor. You've got Disney and pretty much every worldwide renowned entertainment institution there. There's a huge inflow of people, tourists coming in, even when the recession's in. Because let's be honest, and this is it's not just my opinion, it's my experience. People like to spend money to feel good, to maybe take their family away for the weekend. And in America, it's very cheap to do that.
Yeah.
So there's always a flow of people.
Well, I mean, the numbers in Orlando are very interesting.
Yeah.
Even through the recession,
Yeah.
they still had the same number of people coming
Yeah.
through the airport. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like Vegas that took a hiding in the recession.
Yeah. And Disney World and SeaWorld and all these fantastic places aren't going to go bankrupt, right? And people need to work there. And so from an investment perspective, those are the tenants. They're never going to buy, so the demand for tenancy and rentals are very, very high. I mean, I was just, we met at a restaurant, I think it was somewhere. We met a couple of Japanese people, and they work there, and so it was good to get their perspective from a tenant side here. And they're happy, they're working there. It's 20 to 30-year-olds, and so I was happy with that. Memphis are the kinds of properties that I started investing in because I had a smaller budget, and because we can get finance on that, it's much better return on your cash. So you get greater rental incomes, but it's like Monopoly. I always say to people, you've got to buy 4 greenhouses before you buy a red hotel. So that's what I call a greenhouse strategy. You buy the small ones. If you've got a capital-heavy portfolio in your investment portfolio, even if it's not real estate, then Memphis would be a great area because you can then ramp up your income. So that was great. And then Atlanta, I don't think I've seen a better product in property. The team was fantastic, world class, very, very fast paced. I mean, I'm a fast paced person and I was being chucked around and stuff, so I can't remember how many properties we saw. It was a dozen or so in a very short space of time. But not because we were in a rush, because the guy knew what he was talking about. And that you can't buy. That comes with experience. And the fact that you've got an exclusivity agreement with this guy means that, quite frankly, no one else is going to get this opportunity. So that's, for me, very important.
I must admit, we are incredibly lucky. And we even have to say there's an element of fluke here.
Yeah.
That we got started early enough, because now the big funds have come in. And to be fair, he's only really working with the funds.
Yeah.
But because we built a relationship, because he likes us and he likes South Africans, to be honest, he's still helping us, which is tremendous because it allows our clients access to those opportunities.
Well, as Gary Player said, the harder I work, the luckier I get. So it might seem fluke, but it's because you put a lot of work into this. I know how many hours you've spent trying to convince me. So I can't imagine how many hours you've spent trying to convince everyone else. But I say that flippantly. It takes me a long time to trust, not people, but the opportunities, and I'm 100% committed to it. And so, just to wrap up with Atlanta, it's good, steady income, not quite as high as Memphis, but the turnaround on the tenancies is going to be less. So,
three-year leases.
Yeah. And the products are more geared towards homeowners, people who are aspiring to own the properties. And from my experience of rent to buy, which I used to do quite a lot of in the UK, that significantly reduces your maintenance, but also your turnover, which we've mentioned. And there's many other perks to that, but a good spread of investment opportunities there.
Look, I mean, what a lot of our clients do is they actually get a balanced portfolio where they invest in different areas. They get the pros and cons of each area, basically.
Which is what, if anyone asked me what they should do, I would say that. Just spread it across.
Now tell me, we're in Atlanta Airport, we're about to fly home, and you picked up a newspaper there, which, I mean, literally today's newspaper, which I think, a lot of the information that we're trying to spread, and we're trying to explain what's happening on the ground. And I think a lot of people at home think that we're exaggerating. But I mean, literally, when you come here and you see it with your eyes and pick up the newspaper, I mean, what does that headline say?
Well, I mean, I have to be honest, when you were telling me what was going on, I was like, I can't believe it, because I've seen thousands of investments in the last 8 years, and something that good hasn't come up in a long time. I've had it once, to be honest, and it was fantastic. It only lasted 7 or 8 months, to be honest, that period. It was an overseas investment. But yeah, so this article is talking about foreclosures hit a 6-year low. But there's two key things that the Atlanta, and it's the date is the February of the 12th, not like we've picked us up 6 years ago. But what's interesting is it's actually two great points here. One is foreclosures are on the up, so that means, because let's be honest, you and I were really worried about the supply of properties that are worthwhile investing in from a return perspective. So this suggests that there's going to be a good supply. However, there is an increase in owner occupancy, and that means property prices are increasing. So it's a double-edged sword. And what that says to me, if I just use my little bit of experience, is one, there's going to be supply, but two, the opportunity is going to be more difficult to take advantage of to get the kind of returns we want.
Yeah.
Properties, there'll be loads of properties for sale, but we won't be getting the returns over time when we purchase, and what I mean by discounts and rental income, as now. So, and you've said a few of your clients have bought properties, and in the last few months they've gone up by 15%.
Well, I mean, the guys that were literally on this trip now made, between 20 and 25% in 3 months, and the guys in October that bought in August are the same thing. It's, reading the newspaper is so interesting from a sentiment point of view, because I've been 4 times in the last year, and we've spent millions of rands on research, in terms of this market. And back in April when we came on our first trip, there was quite a lot of talk of, where's the market going, where's the economy going. And I just find it fascinating. In the last 2 days, yesterday the Wall Street Journal said that the economists are optimistic about the economy going in the right direction. And today it's the property market. And we all know that in property, actually the best time to make money is when you're going against sentiment. But once that sentiment starts to turn, that's when the whole market turns. And I just get the sense that things are really going in that right direction now. But coming off a very, very low, if you want to call it that, 40% across the entire market. So there's still plenty of room for opportunity, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the key thing is, and if I'm just listening to what you're saying, the last time I had such a good opportunity is because I actually worked with someone who'd invested a lot of money into the research. Sure, I could quite easily come here and do all the research and that kind of thing. I don't think I can meet as quite a good a contact as you've got. That's number one. But I could probably still get into some investments. It would take me 6 to 12 months to do the research. Look, I like to enjoy life, as I'm sure you now learned from this trip, and it's obvious that you spent a lot of time and money. So from my perspective, it's a no-brainer to work with people that know the market inside out, because I would rather not invest than risk investing in something that I'm uncertain about, because quite frankly that's always ended up in tears. So I'm completely convinced about this not only US, but the areas you've identified, and also the partners that you've identified. And now I've got a US bank account, so I've got a bank account in 4 countries. Not bad from a small chap from Cape Town, but yeah, thoroughly enjoyable.
Awesome. Well, it's been good, wonderful having you here. Cheers. Cool.